Hello, I'm author and publisher blog David Welsh, and welcome to Cold Book Review, where each week I'll be reviewing one of a wide selection of eclectic volumes from the history of literature, basically anything that I fancy talking about. And today we're going to be talking about The Necromancer, an 18th century Gothic novel by Peter Teuthold. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the video. The Necromancer, or The Tale of the Black Forest, is a Gothic novel written by Carl Friedrich Carlhert under the pseudonym of Ludwig Flammenberg and was first published in mainland Europe in 1794. However, when it came out in England, it was published as translated from the German of Lawrence Flammenberg by Peter Teuthold. You see, at the time, it was a common British publishing practice to claim that a Gothic novel had a German origin, because that gave it a special aura of authenticity. And this mild form of fakery was generally believed of this book too when it was originally published. However, in this case, it happened to be true. But curiously, there was a time when it was generally believed that this novel didn't exist at all, and that the title had simply been made up by Jane Austen. This was because one of her characters name checks it as one of 7 horrid novels in a passage in Northanger Abbey, which itself was a satire on the Gothic novel. So what's it about? Well, it's a series of interconnected stories told by multiple narrators concerning their encounters with the Necromancer, a strange old man who practices the occult in the area of Germany's Black Forest. It begins with 2 old friends, Hermann and Helfried, who meet after 30 years, and as they swap life experiences, it transpires that they both had strange encounters with this old man, who seems to possess supernatural powers. Hermann's narrative features the haunting of an old ruined castle, and is one of the best and creepiest sections of the book. He was accompanied in that adventure by a baron and a Danish lieutenant, and the next narrative takes the form of a follow-up via a letter from the baron to Hermann, which tells of a chance meeting later on with the Danish lieutenant, who narrates a follow-up incident himself when he is joined by an Austrian officer who then tells his own story about the Necromancer, which features a narrative told to him by a mother involving her daughter. And there are other narrators who tell their tales too. Even a court case at the end of the book is related by 2 separate people for no good reason at all. The justification being that the first narrator has to go away on unrelated business. But that just seems like an excuse to have someone else tell part of that part of the story. Now, I hope that gives you an idea of the rather bizarre and complicated structure, which involves stories being told within stories, within stories, within stories. And if you're intending to read this book, I would recommend you do it fairly quickly, because there is a very real risk that if you put it down for a few days, you could get a bit lost as to where you are in the story and who is actually telling this part of it. Now, this kind of nested narrative device wasn't uncommon at the time, but I've never come across it taken to such extremes before. And in a further twist on the book's origin, it appears that Teuthold's translation is a substantial revision of the original work, and this complicated structure may have been down to a conscious effort to try and tie unrelated stories together, or simply to his lack of competence as a translator. What we do know is the final section of the book, which takes the form of a confession of a bandit chief in court and seems completely out of place, was added by Teuthold, and worse still, was completely plagiarised from a popular novel by Friedrich Schiller. Is it any good? Well, despite all the complications I've already mentioned, I did enjoy it, but with definite qualifications. The structure is unnecessarily convoluted and confusing, and the resolution to all the strange happenings early on in the book is distinctly underwhelming. And that's a shame, because those early parts, the ones that tell of the Necromancer's occult activities, are easily the work's most compelling passages. And I thought for a little while back there I was going to get something very special indeed. So I would say try this if you're interested in Gothic novels of the period, but temper your expectations a little and be prepared for that wild and wacky structure. It's certainly unique, but some may find it a little frustrating. And that's it for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.